You're listening to the Whatchu Doin Wilmington podcast, your favorite podcast, highlighting the positive people, places, and things in the beautiful city of Wilmington, North Carolina. Hosted by Demia Avery. I see you, we see you, and it's great to be seen.
Hello, everyone. This is Demia Avery with Whatchu Doin North Carolina, and this podcast is designed to highlight the positive people, places, and things here in the beautiful state of North Carolina. I see you, we see you, and it's great to be seen. Now, today we have a special guest that will leave you truly encouraged and inspired. I'm sorry, but I must read some of your bio, if that's all right, for our guest today. So, some of her most notable documentaries are Inside the Obama White House with Brian Williams, NBC, and Rebel Music series, MTV World. She was also an adjunct professor at Columbia University's Graduate School of Journalism and visiting professor at NBC News New York Film Academy's Digital Journalism program. Currently, she's a consulting producer on the Minnie Evans Draw or Die documentary, scheduled to be released this year. She is a graduate of Columbia University Graduate School of Journalism, where she was awarded the John Patterson Award for Best Documentary, a graduate of Howard University, and a member of AKA Incorporated. Please welcome Emmy Award-winning producer, journalist, and communications professional, the very lovely Annette Freeman. Welcome to the show.
Oh my God, Davia, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I'm so excited to be on your show, Whatchu Doin, NC. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you are so welcome. So first of all, thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to talk with us today. I know you got a lot going on today, so I'm going to try to put everything in there today. Especially you're gearing up for something very special happening this week with the phenomenal anchor woman, Joy Reid. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with that.
Well, on this Saturday, June 22nd, MSNBC's Joy Reid is coming here to Wilmington, North Carolina.
Amazing.
She's going to be at the Cameron Art Museum. We're starting off at 5 to 6 with a private meet and greet, and then the show kicks off at 6:30. And I'm so excited, grateful, and honored that she's going to come and be here with us.
That is amazing. How important was it to have her here? How important was it for you to have her here with us?
It was very important, like critical. Okay, so like now in our state of the country, her writing this book about Medgar Evers and his wife, Myrlie Evers, was so important to hit at this time. And since I came to Wilmington 6 years ago, Joy and I used to work together at MSNBC, NBC News in New York. And it was just perfect timing, I think. It was perfect timing. I saw her, she did a book launch in New York in Westchester County with the Deltas.
Okay.
And a friend of mine is part of that chapter. And I was like, wait a minute. If they can have something for Joy up in Westchester, they have something for Joy down here in Wilmington.
Right.
So I immediately, I called her up. I was like, Joy, I don't know what's on your schedule for your book tour, but I would love for you to come to Wilmington. And and she was like, yeah. So that's how it happened.
That's amazing. That's big. That's big for Wilmington. You know that, right?
I'm hearing that. And I'm just grateful for her to bring this book at this time for our community. So thrilled.
Awesome. So let's do a little rewind. What actually drew you to a career in journalism?
That's a good question. So I had been working I was working in a public utility after I graduated from Howard. And I just always knew that I wanted to get into television. Always knew. My cousin had worked for Dino De Laurentiis in film in Hollywood. And I was like, I'm not really film. I really like it, but it was something about the medium of television. And then I realized, oh, I've always loved the news. So I actually applied. I was 37 years old when
Okay.
I applied to go to Columbia to get my graduate school degree. And I got accepted to the School of Journalism.
Okay.
And it just like took me, because I've always had such a passion for the news, but it took me a little while to actually find like what I wanted to do in television. So
Okay.
documentaries was it. I went to Columbia. I studied documentaries. I won an award. I got hired at NBC and then went into the documentary division. So I had been doing documentaries for NBC News.
And you said at
Mhm.
37, is that when you started? You said?
Yeah, I was 37. I had at that time I had been married, divorced. I'd had a
Wow.
career in the public utility. I was there for 12 years after college, and then got married, had a baby, and then got divorced. And then I started Columbia. My son was 4 or 5 years old. So I
Wow.
was a single mother going back to school. And but it was like a passion of mine. And I got accepted. I got accepted to
Yeah.
Columbia University Graduate School of Journalism, like one of the top journalism schools in America.
Yeah.
So I had to go. And then I
Absolutely.
found the money somehow. And then I found people to watch my son. It was like what a year. And then my divorce was final in that year. I had a big year in 2000. So
Absolutely, you
that's when I
did.
graduated. Yeah, I
No,
graduated.
I love that. I love that. And at 37, a lot of us
Mhm.
are settled, just about settled in our lives. And you can almost say that that's a part of when your life actually started, you know?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've had a number of lives. I'm a black cat.
Yeah.
So I've had a number of lives,
Uh-huh.
and that was my second iteration. So I had my life as a public utility manager. I mean, like were promoting me. I was being promoted. I wasn't just, I just got there. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to just kind of, kind of settle in with this job. No, I was getting promoted, and like, they were promoting me for executive level. And like, and then I started to say, but thank you, but this is not it.
Yeah.
So quitting
Yeah.
at the height of my career at this public utility was major. My parents were like, "What are you doing? It's a
Yeah.
good job." My
Yeah.
parents are from the Caribbean. You're like, you know, what are you doing? It's a good job. You got benefits, your retirement thing, all of that. And so I was like, but I want to do something else. And so that's when I went into journalism. So that was my second career, and it was phenomenal.
Now,
I
how scared
started
were
out
you?
at the um very very scared. But when you're in it, that's the thing I tell people, like, once you make the decision
Mhm.
and you're going for it,
Yeah.
like, you look forward. You don't look back.
Mhm.
You look forward. And like all those obstacles if it's for you,
Yeah.
all those obstacles, you'll jump over them.
Yeah.
You will jump over them.
Yeah.
It will happen. Something will happen, and you will be able to overcome whatever those obstacles were. Now, I had a lot of obstacles,
Yeah.
Demia, when
Yeah.
I was going through that, because I was going through a divorce. It was really hard. I had an order of protection out against my ex-husband. I mean, it was hard. Okay, go.
I believe
so
it.
it
Yeah.
wasn't. So it wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go here and then I'm going to do this. No, life happens.
Yeah.
And then my journalism teacher said to me one day, because I had an assignment due, and I had some nonsense going on with my ex-husband, nonsense
Mhm.
that involved the police. And she said to me that day, she's like, Annette, she heard all what was going on and what I was going through that day. And she said, Annette, I know it's hard. I know it's hard, but where's that assignment that I gave you? You're going to have to turn in that
That's
assignment.
right. That's right.
And she's like, and then she said on top of that, she's like, this is where you're going to have to meet your future.
Mm.
Because if you do not give me that assignment, you're going to find yourself back where you were leaving.
Yeah.
And it was at that moment when I got on that train, took that train from Brooklyn to Uptown to Columbia, and I delivered my assignment. And that changed my life.
Yeah. 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 And then once you're in it, it's either sink or swim. You gotta, you can't do both. So it's one or the other.
That's right.
Ah,
And I'm not sinking.
I know that's
I'm not sinking, Demia. We're not sinking, right?
right.
We're not sinking.
I love it. I love it. So let me ask you this. And for those, and I guess this question is for those who are interested in a career in journalism. It takes a lot, and it's a lot more than just seeing a story and then just writing it down. So what qualities do you think you have to be a journalism? I say you have to have either like thick skin or lots of energy. What would you say? And I'm speaking to your story because you had to have um kind of both of those those characteristics, especially with what you had going on in your personal life as well. What would you say that a journalist would need to have?
Most, I think a journalist needs to have, you have to have an insatiable curiosity.
Mm,
Insatiable.
mm,
Like you want to know things.
yeah.
2, you have to have a love of humanity,
Mm,
because in journalism, you meet all kinds of people
yeah.
in all kinds of situations.
Hmm.
And so you have to have, a love of your fellow man
Mm,
in
okay.
there. And then third, this has got to be the only thing you think about, love, do. You have to have a passion for it. You have to live it, breathe it, drink it, walk it, talk it. Because I used to tell some of the young journalists when they used to come into NBC, I was like, if you don't love it, you're not going to make it.
Mm,
You're just not going to make it.
yeah.
It's just too hard.
Yeah.
It's just too hard a profession, and you're not going to be able to survive
Mm,
the hours that, up for 36 hours
yeah.
and you're still working.
Yeah.
You can't remember if you know. You're not going to be able to handle all the news that comes, because you're going to have to feed the insatiable beast
Yeah.
of the TV or the podcast. It's never ending.
Yeah.
So you have to love it like that. That's what I tell young journalists.
And I totally agree with you. And I'm starting out late in my career as well. So I'm learning exactly what you just said.
Wow, really? Wow,
Yeah,
I'd love to
I'm
hear
learning
you.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you would say what would be your most memorable story, what would you say?
It was going to the White House
Yeah.
when President Obama was first elected.
Yeah.
I was tapped to be part of a special team
Hmm.
with Brian Williams to go to the White House as President Barack Obama was first elected. So he took office in January,
Hmm.
and by May, we were the first news team to go and cover his White House. So we were there for all day,
Hmm.
covering what was going on that day. I remember it was a Friday,
Hmm.
and NBC News descended onto the White House There were, so many producers, APs, crew. It was a big deal. And then that was a Friday. We covered what was going on. It was like a behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And then by that Monday and Tuesday, we produced a 2-hour special for NBC on inside the Obama White House. I think it still is playing. You can find it somewhere
Okay.
here. And so that was really the highlight
Yeah.
of my journalism career. I mean, I've had many other wonderful experiences, but that was the highlight
I
of
bet.
my career.
I
Hmm.
bet. Now, with that being the highlight of the career, did you have anything that, uh, and you don't have to be totally specific. Did you have any stories that you said, "Gosh, I wish I hadn't covered that"? Did you have anything like that that was just like, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that"?
Well, there are a couple, but I have to say this. Here's one. There's a story that I was assigned to,
And again, you don't have to
and I
be
said
specific.
no.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that's normally, yeah, I won't. But there was a story that I was assigned to, and I just had to say no. And being in the news business, you never say no. Like you're
Yeah.
assigned.
Mhm.
Like we are assigned such stories. Like we need you to go work on that because you're assigned. And I just said I just can't do it.
Mm.
I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
just can't do it. And that was, they asked me if I would work on a documentary on the murder of Daniel Pearl. He was the uh, Wall Street Journal reporter who got captured by ISIS
Mm.
and got beheaded.
Oh.
And they had shown that beheading tape. And I said, I can't work on that because as you have to watch all this footage, and
Mhm.
and I was there for 9/11. I was there for the wars. I was there for, I was there. I covered these stories. But for that one,
Yeah.
I just had to say no.
Yeah.
And you have to understand when you work in news, you see the things that people don't see.
Mm.
What we show you now is the things that me as an associate producer or a producer have gone through the footage,
Mhm.
looked at like the suicide bombings, looked at the aftermath of a shooting, looked at all that footage that was captured. It's like, okay, nope, can't use this. Okay, move on.
Right.
I just did not want to see a beheading.
Yeah. I don't
And
blame you.
so there, yeah,
No, thank you for saying that because that's the flip side of things that the public doesn't see or the public doesn't know that you have to act as a journalist, you have to actually pick and choose and you actually have to make those decisions of what you should or what you can't show and make a conscious decision, and also it can be a moral decision as well. You know what I mean? So, I think
that's
that's
right.
awesome. I think
That's
that's
right.
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Wow. So, let's talk a little bit about the Goddess Portal
Yeah,
'cause
there was just certain things. Yeah.
yeah. So, let's
Mhm.
talk a little bit about the
Yeah,
Goddess Portal
that's
because I
right.
wanted to get into that. So, tell everybody what the Goddess Portal is all about.
So this is my third iteration of a journey as part of my life.
Mhm.
And the Goddess Portal is it's a coaching, movement, and events business that I started to help women get their sexy back,
Love it.
to get their mojo back, to start to understand how it is to lead from pleasure and to how to reach your deepest desires
Mm,
as you tap into your divine feminine.
love it.
So, what that means really is I am a pleasure coach and I teach women how to live a life of pleasure.
Love it.
Now, it doesn't mean that I'm saying that your life is going to be like all like flowers and
Yeah.
la 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 la. It can be,
Yeah.
And we take your grief, your devastation, your depression, whatever, and we show you how to alchemize that. Every time it happens, every time it happens, every time it happens. So you show up as a complete and fully expressed feminine, divine woman.
Love it. And I love the quote, because I was on your website and it says, I have become a mistress of pleasure and a master manifester of desires. So I love that. Love it.
I
Love
mean,
it.
I could say it that my own story is how I got to Wilmington.
Yeah.
Is because of my pleasure training. I've been in this work for 10 years. So how I got to Wilmington is an old boyfriend.
Okay.
He's like, he was dreaming of me. He had gone through a divorce, and then he said, I've dreamt about you, Annette. And it just said, call Annette Freeman. And he was like, I'm not going to call Annette Freeman. She's married. They were like, no. He's like, 3 days it happened. And then finally he had an old email of mine, and he emailed me. And I was in such a place in my life that I was like, oh, okay, here's an old boyfriend. He's come, they all come sniffing back. Okay. So, but instead of me being like, oh, there's a guy that I really used to like, I had like, here's my desires. Here's what I want. Here's what I need you to do. You just can't just be stepping back. So I said, send me a first class ticket. I want to go to some place that I've never been before. And I want you to, make sure I have a good time.
Yeah.
Within 15 minutes, there was a ticket in my inbox. And all of that. And then we spent a great weekend. And then it just started to develop. And then within like 8 months, he said to me, like, Annette, I want you to move to Wilmington. And if you move here, you don't have to work.
Well,
what?
Okay.
And so I took a leap of faith. I loved him. I've known him since college. So it's not somebody that I didn't know. Known him since college, dated him in college. We spent a lot of time together. We were boyfriend and girlfriend. But then he went his way, I went my way. But then coming back together, because I was living a life of pleasure, it was the change of my vibration.
Yeah.
That called that love that I've always wanted into my life. It's vibration.
Yeah.
It's not because I was the heaviest. I was 250 pounds. I was like, if some women, I was 55 years old. And here comes a man who loves big girls. And it just worked out.
Yeah.
So it's like some women are like, oh, I have to be something, and I have to do this, and I have to do. You don't have to do anything but believe in your own pleasure and know what it takes to pleasure you. When in life, you have to know pleasure in order to give pleasure. You have to know pleasure in order to tell somebody how to please you. So that's what I do. I live what I teach.
I love that. Now, okay, so I have a personal question, and you can take your time answering it. I noticed that you're all about helping others. And how would you say you want to be remembered? When people think of Annette, what impression do you want to leave with them?
That I was a ride or die girlfriend. I'm a ride or die.
Yeah.
I'm her. I'm that girl.
Yeah.
You and I are girlfriends. I keep your secrets. I tell you things that sometimes you don't want to hear, but I'm saying it with kindness and love. I'm kind, and I'm ride or die. I love women. Yeah. I love my friends. I don't have no nonsense competition bullshit going on with women.
Yeah.
I love women. I love us. And especially Black women.
Yeah.
So I just have to say that. And that I'm a ride or die.
I know it's for real because
That's how I want to remember.
you answered that without any trepidation. You was like, this is what it I love it. I love it. So what's
Hmm.
next for you? What's next for you? What's happening coming up next for you in that?
Well, what's next is I think on July 17th or 18th, I'm going to be at the Wilma Leadership Conference over at the Convention Center.
Okay.
I'm one of 5 women who's doing a TED Talk for the lunchtime.
Okay.
So I'll be there. So you want to come and hear all about pleasure. I'm her. Actually, I'm going to be talking more about the inner critic, your inner critic.
Okay.
How do you quell your inner critic? That thing that says, "Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you're stupid." Yeah. I address that.
Okay.
And then after that, I'm going to be speaking at the Ghost Guides in Richmond, Virginia, at the Virginia Historical Society,
Mm-hmm.
and that's going to be the weekend of September 20th.
Okay.
And then I have a virtual class called the Goddess Portal Opening, and that's starting on August 28th. And my website is goddessportalcoaching.com. goddessportalcoaching.com. I also, if I can, Demia, can I just give a shout out to my sponsors of the Medgar Evers, the Merle and Medgar book chat with Joy Reid.
Yeah.
If I could just give a quick shout out to all my wonderful sponsors, because without them, I could have never put this on. And so I want to thank Pomegranate Books. I want to thank Wayne Lofton at the PDS Agency, Arts Council of Wilmington and New Haven County, Doctors Babatunde and Constance Olatadoye, William Buster, Delta Sigma Theta, Symmetry 7, Lolita Robinson, Art and Bloom Gallery, Kamor Hardiman, and Claudette Faison. I just need to say that because without those sponsors, I could have never, ever have pulled off bringing Joy Reid here. It was completely a team effort, and the volunteers that are going to be there. My heart is swelled because of the grace that everyone has given to this event, and I'm so absolutely grateful and thankful.
Awesome. And you guys, for everyone that's listening and watching, I'm gonna make sure that I have all the links, or any links to Annette Freeman's Goddess Portal, or how you can get tickets to any of her events that's coming up, and make sure you guys go out and support any and everything that she wants to do. Annette, I'm inviting you back for anything that you want for me to promote. I'll be more than happy to do so. And listen, we're going to get out of here and let her get back because she has a lot to do today. And that is it for today's show. But again, we certainly want to thank Annette Freeman for coming out today. And remember, home is where the heart is, and my heart is in North Carolina. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.